Are you looking to step up your marathon game, improve your marathon time? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys how I managed to have my most successful training block and execute the perfect race. Well, nearly perfect, but I managed to string together 13 weeks of really good marathon training and execute the race plan that I wanted to do. At the end of this video, I'm going to share a couple of other videos on those elements, but this one will all be about what you've come here for, to find out the key elements of how I train through this block that help me and will potentially help you guys in your upcoming marathon training blocks. So I'm going to break this video down into 4 parts, and I think point number 2 is going to be probably key for a lot of you guys. This is where I'm going to be sharing a lot of stats, a lot of data as to how I trained in zones and all of that sort of stuff. So stay tuned for that one. But I think the first point that I really want to hammer home, I've hammered this home in a lot of recent marathon training videos and a lot of marathon tip videos, and it really has stood out for me in my last training block, something I've never done before but incorporated into this one thanks to my coach, and that is the medium long run. Dropping a workout and replacing it with a medium long run massively helped. I'll share the stats shortly, as I just said, as to why I feel this has had such a big part in my marathon improvement. But I've got to say straight away, as I'm getting a little bit older, I'm finding I can't train quite as aggressively as I used to. And so swapping out a marathon workout or a workout that I might normally have done in the past for a medium long run has been absolutely incredible. This training block, I'll share a structure shortly, but this training block has very much been a lot more about those easy and steady runs and a little bit less focused on those harder workouts. But that's not to say I haven't neglected any of the workouts. There's been a great sprinkling of everything in this training block, and it's literally been the perfect blend for me. Let me share with you guys what my structure was so that you guys will get a good idea as to when I share the stats next. So typically what would happen is I'd run easy on a Monday, I'd then double on a Tuesday, and I'd do my medium long run Tuesday morning, which ranged at the start from 75 minutes, went up to 90, and then I do a nice easy 45 minutes in the evening. I'd then do my workout on the Wednesday, I'd rest Thursday, I'd do an easy or steady run depending how the week was structured on a Friday, and then I would do my long run workout on the weekend. And that was my typical week, 6 runs crammed into 5 days. So let's dive into the stats, and hopefully what this will do is allow you guys to see where I'm coming from and the whole point of this video. Now I've got my spreadsheet here, you will have it on screen as we're going through. This is where I really want to get into the nitty gritty. If I really dived into everything, we'd be here for hours, but I've picked out the key points that I think have made a massive difference during this training block, which is unlike anything else that I've done before. There's been a big heavy focus on the lower zones and the time spent in those zone 1 and zone 2. In particular, zone 2 has been a massive area that I've spent a lot of time in during this training block. Piggybacking off the back of this, what I just want to quickly add, Stephen Scullion, Irish Olympian, 209 marathon runner, has a YouTube channel producing some incredible content. He's been talking a little bit in some of his videos, or that I've seen in the past, about working all of the fitness curves, so working every single area within like a 10 to 14 day cycle, trying to hit workouts and different types of runs that target every area of that curve. And it kind of transpires that that's exactly what's happened within this training block that I have run. Although there's been a heavy focus on the lower end, we have seemed to target every area of the fitness curve, and fingers crossed, I think that's going to be one of the main reasons why that I've made the jump that I have in terms of my marathon performance. So what I want to start off by saying is, as you notice on that example, I start with an easy on a Monday, and then a moderate and an easy on a Tuesday, and then I also have an easy or a moderate on a Friday. So that takes up a big chunk of my runs. Now the average heart rate that I've calculated off the back of my Monday easy runs is 132 beats a minute. So that's well into sort of zone 1. And then on my medium long runs, it's going to be 144 beats a minute for my average throughout the whole of the 13 weeks, just calculating it from week 1 to 13. So again, that's very solid middle of zone 2 for me. And then that easy in the evening, 128. So again, that's the lowest that I've gone, really relaxed, really comfortable. And then the Friday, which has been a mix of easy and steady depending on how the week has been structured. The average there has been 140, so that's very much low end of zone 2. In terms of time spent, it's obviously been more in zone 2 than 1, just because medium long runs have accounted for a lot more time on feet than the easy runs combined with the Friday, depending on if it's easy and steady. And also what we'll talk about now is the long run workouts that I've been doing and the workouts midweek. Now we'll start with the long run workouts because this is important and piggybacks off of zone 2. Now I've split this between sort of zone 2 and zone 3 that I've made notes on, because although the average heart rate does sit into zone 3, a lot of the time spent is steady running into a lot of my long run workouts. So it really is a good crossover from zone 2 into zone 3. And so effectively, if you can think of it this way, my average is for this 157 beats a minute, which is solid middle of the road zone 3. That means that if I've been spending a lot of time in my steady zone, I've also been spending a lot of time up in zone 4 in these workouts, because I'm doing marathon specific stuff. I'm doing faster than and slower than. So this is a good crossover zone, and it's a bit of a grey area in terms of not specifically in one zone, but it effectively covers zone 2, 3 and 4. But a lot of that time is spent in zone 2 with a sprinkling up in zone 4, a little bit more in zone 4, averaging out in zone 3. So again, that's why I'm kind of talking a little bit more about how zone 2 has been so effective for me and how much time is spent in there. And then the midweek workout, the average for that was 162 beats a minute, and that very much is solid zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. So again, working that 3, 4 and 5 curve, tipping into the 5, barely touching it, not intentionally, but just kind of dipping into there at the end of some of the repetitions. A lot of work in zone 4 there, and some of the floats and stuff in zone 3. So again, we've got the long run workouts which are spreading over 2, 3 and 4, and then we've got the midweek workouts which are spreading over 3, 4 and 5. So as you can see, in the whole grand scheme of things, the whole picture, we're talking a lot of work in 1, a lot of work in 2, a load of work in 2, and then sort of sprinklings in 3, 4 and 5, basically attacking the whole fitness curve. And I think the final thing to mention on all of these statistics, looking at my heaviest week, which was March the 20th, and you guys can check all of this out on Strava. And the one point to note as well that I should say is I haven't included in any of these statistics the warm up and cool down on my Wednesday workouts, because they can fluctuate between 10 to 15 minutes, and they're usually zone 1 and zone 2. So I just haven't included those in. That's just for me preparing the body for the main event, which is the workout. But if I add up all the time spent in those zones, we're looking at 255 minutes in zone 1 and 2, 155 in zone 2 and 3, which was effectively the long run workout, and then 49 minutes in zone 4, spreading slightly into zone 5. So again, a massive heavy emphasis there on keeping things in that zone 1 and 2, and then that 2 and 3 section, a lot of it was in zone 2 as well, because of the type of workout that I did that week, and then that sprinkling up in the higher end zone 4. Number 3 is all about injury prevention, and that kind of comes from working in the realms of these zones that I've been talking about. So we're doing a lot more high-end intense stuff, especially for people like myself and you guys out there who are watching, who are very much sort of average runners, let's say. We have busy lives and we often neglect the recovery side of things. We do our best, but often it doesn't always go to plan. When we're doing a lot more easy aerobic stuff, it's a lot easier on our body, it's a lot more sort of calm, let's say. Whereas if we're out there hammering 400 meter repetitions week in, week out, multiple times a week, which naturally we increase our intensity when it comes to shorter distance stuff, that's going to happen because we're getting a bit more specific. We often find that if we are neglecting that area, we're a little bit more likely to get injuries, pick up more serious niggles, and things can escalate a little bit more quickly. So I feel like keeping things in the realm of a lot of zone 1, zone 2 stuff just allows our body to kind of absorb a lot of the training without as much stress that we'd be putting on it at the shorter distance stuff. When we move to the shorter distance stuff and we do that faster interval work, recovery becomes not loads more important, but we really have to be sharp in our minds about where the niggles are, if things feel okay or not, and where we are, with our recovery process. But in terms of marathon training, I was often finding that I'd just be able to get up, do my usual drills and strides before a workout and my nice warm-up, or if it was easy and moderate running, get my warm-up activations done and just get out the door and go. And it was just easy to flow from one day into the next. And again, I just think this played such a big part. And the final thing to mention, point number 4, is having a race plan in my head from the early days. And what that meant was I was able to execute this throughout training, throughout the practice races. I had a couple of tune-up races. One was a 10K, but one was a 20-miler where I was able to practice and execute the race plan that I had. Having that in here and not diverting from the original paces or from the original anything anything, because naturally when we go through training blocks, we get fitter and then we wonder, should we revise our goal? Are we way fitter than what we are? And I think one of my previous coaches actually drummed into me, which is a fantastic thing, is basically saying, look, you know, take this with baby steps, just tick this one off and then go to the next one, tick that one off and move to the next one. We can often get greedy and then shoot for these really big targets, and if we fail in a marathon, we can fail spectacularly, and suddenly we don't PB, our PB is still where it was. We know we're 10 times fitter than where that was, but we've got nothing to show for it. So often in a marathon, if we're feeling like we need a bit of confidence or we want to get a good marathon under our belt, it's often better just to kind of stick to the plan, not necessarily play it safe, but keep it controlled, get that job done, and then get excited for the next one. So I think in all of this, having that race plan at the beginning, knowing what I wanted to achieve, and then actually going and achieving it on race day because I've been able to practice it with the fueling and everything else, made the world a difference. So if you're a runner that's had any doubt in terms of running slow to run fast, it's the age-old caption, you know, we all think, why would we run slow to run fast? Well, if you ever have any doubt, then hopefully this is a great sort of, not incentive, but a great example that actually it does work, and keeping things a lot on the lower end of the spectrum really can help build up that aerobic engine, sprinkle in the finer, more specific stuff in moderation, and then you're good to go. You're going to go out there and you're going to feel fantastic. If you missed any of this or you're not on Strava, you can check out my website. I'll leave a link in the description below. That's got all the training that I've done documented over the past 13 weeks. You can go back over it, and if you've got any questions about it, please do feel free to drop it in the comments below. And what I want to do is leave you guys with a couple of videos up on screen now, which is talking about what happened at my recent marathon, and then of course some more specifics about trying these things to help you guys run a faster marathon. That's going to talk a little bit more about the race tactics, what I put in my head, and how I went about executing it. And that's it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider giving it a like, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and hopefully I'll see you on one of the other videos on screen now.